Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I'm so happy to be with you again today as we consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. In today's episode, I want to talk about anxiety self-care and actually where to begin. This came about because we had a discussion going on in the Facebook group for the Anxiety Coaches Podcast group coaching members, and it was really interesting to see a question come up that said, but where do I get started? And I thought that was a fabulous question because we talk about it all the time and we talk about different things, but where to actually get started? And so I wanted to address not only the group member and the other members that were chiming in on this discussion we were having, but I thought what a great opportunity, because I was recording this week, to bring it to the larger audience. And let's really dive in and talk about anxiety self-care and where we can actually get started with this. So I look at it as self-care is fulfilling the needs of our own mind, body, and spirit, that being our whole being. And before we can attempt to be solving the problems of the world, which most of us really put a lot of focus and energy in our lives on taking care of things around us, external things, whether they be relationships or physical needs of people around us, our homes, our jobs, and everything in between. And we're good at that. We actually can take care of those things. We know it's expected of us, and we are actually pretty good at taking care of business. But before we can attempt any of that, we need to be able to take care of ourselves. You know, just as when we've heard it 1,000 times when we are flying in an aircraft, that we are instructed to put on our own oxygen mask first, and then we can assist those around us, whether they be children or people who just need help. But we can expand outward into the larger world, even on an aircraft, after we have taken care of ourselves. We do no one any good if we are starving for oxygen. It does us no good to try to help someone else. We're very limited then, right? And this is so true in our own lives. We can only help beyond ourselves once we are taken care of. And I know we talk about this a lot. We've talked about filling our own cup, right? We've talked about not feeling guilty about taking care of ourselves. And often I get questions about self-care and what it is, or people saying they don't have the resources for it. So I thought it would be good to be very clear today on what self-care is. Again, we need to fulfill the needs of our own mind, body, and spirit first. Sometimes not even first, but to even just put it into our lives at all. Many times, again, everything around us is taken care of. The people around us are taken care of. Our jobs, relationships, children, homes, cars, gardens, neighbors, organizations we volunteer for. It is endless, the places that we can help outside of ourselves, and we're good at it. And we often put a lot of our focus there. But again, we need to draw in and take care of ourselves first. This isn't selfish. Again, it's going back to thinking about putting your oxygen mask on. It actually is your way of being able to help to the best of your ability, is to be able to take care of yourself first. Often, people who are givers, people who are sensitive, people who are anxious, put themselves in a place of doing things for others because it makes them feel good. It can actually dampen down some anxious feelings to be doing something for someone else, to be outwardly motivated. Because we don't feel guilty about that. We feel like we're being good and we are pleasing other people and it's socially acceptable. So that's the reason that we can fall into putting so much of our emphasis outside of ourselves. And then we become exhausted or burned out or physically sick or anxious. And so we want to be able to draw in, take care of ourselves, and from that place, from that core of being centered, being fed in your mind, body, and spirit, and giving from there. And that is remarkable. We can actually do more, we can do better quality work, and we are not struggling ourselves and not coming from a place of lack. Many times when we do that, resentment begins to build up and it comes out. It can be very confusing, not only to the people around us, but to ourselves. Why do I feel so bad? I'm doing such great things. Why am I feeling so empty and insecure and exhausted and anxious? Why am I so worried? So let's get started on the things that we can do to fulfill our needs in our mind, body, and spirit. So now as we're getting back to our self-care, you want to check in and see how you have been feeling, what you have been doing for yourself, and notice if there are any gaps. Maybe you've been doing a lot externally and not enough internally. And this is where journal writing can be helpful. That can be a starting point to find what needs you may not be taking care of and learning how to keep track of the ideas and the ways that you can begin to take care of those needs. And one of the things you can do is, if you don't know what you're missing or what's lacking, you can't fulfill the need. So this can be helpful to be writing things down, your feelings, how long was your day? Were you physically exhausted? Were you emotionally tired? Really drilling down inside of you and putting words to these feelings that you're having. Is resentment building? Are there things that you wish you could be doing? Are you yearning for something that you would like to be able to do? Now, of course, right now we're all sheltered in place and not able to do a lot of the things that we are accustomed to doing. But when I'm talking about self-care, it changes day to day. And this is not about big, giant, sweeping things. You don't need to go on vacation. You don't need to spend a lot of money. And you don't need to involve other people. So this could actually be a time, if you are someone who has more time on your hands because of the situation we're in, it may be a great time to really investigate, what does your mind need? What does your body need? And what is it that your spirit is needing? Some of the very basic places I want to be sure that we cover is coming up here, but I have 3 other podcasts that I'll have them in the show notes, links in the show notes for you, but maybe you just want to jot the numbers down and go to them on your app. Is number 528 is self-care, what it really is. And that was a question that came from a listener, and we covered self-care in there. And number 598 was not that long ago, and that was fill your cup first to keep anxiety at bay. There'll be more ideas in there. And the final one is number 252, which was a long time ago, eliminating guilt over self-care. And that, again, was a listener question being answered. You can see that this is a question that comes into me very often. And the guilt. Pay attention to that. That's another thing you can check in and write about. Am I feeling guilty? Am I feeling resentful or guilty? Which is it? And how can I start teasing out these feelings so that I can see what's lacking and what I can do to fill myself up so that I can be giving from a place of complete and utter self-care. Like, if I can take care of myself, then I can fully take care of you. I can offer something, but I can't offer you anything from an empty cup. Even though we might try, that would be the people pleaser, right? Still trying to do it, even though I have nothing left, no resources inside of me, nothing to give, but I'm still trying to help another. So let's begin with the very basics that are truly important to self-care and to our anxious minds. We want to begin with meditation. And what part of us is that going to benefit? Our mind? Definitely. Our body? Yes. It is a place of letting go and letting the muscles relax along with our being in our mind and paying attention to it. And it is an awesome place to begin to reconnect with your own spiritual side. The same with many of these that I'm going to talk about. They overlap. But the second one would be your eating. So you have to pay attention to be nourishing yourself. The body needs its nutrition. It needs fully to be getting those things from the outside world. We can't manufacture them ourselves. So we bring in food, we bring in nutrients and clean water and fresh air, and we bring that in for our body to be filled and to be taken care of, and so that it can be strong and energetic. Sleep is a big one. Sleep is so important in our recovery, in our being able to let the mind sweep out, the brain actually going through and organizing while we're sleeping the day and letting go of memories that don't need to be taken and held on to and storing other ones. It's incredible. So much happens when we sleep that you need to pay attention that you are getting enough, whether that is 8 hours. Maybe a few of you can get by on 7, but many people need 9 hours. And if you've been ill or exposed to something, as many people have recently, you want to be even getting more sleep. Let the body get that recharge at night and take care of all of its regeneration that happens while you're sleeping. And then you will have the energy to go for your walks and do your exercise and all of those other things, taking care of other people and being a good steward on this earth. The next one is sunshine. It can't be overemphasized how much we need to be exposing ourselves to sunshine. You may have had your own vitamin D levels checked, and I live here in Hawaii, and mine were, I didn't have them checked recently at my last visit, but last year my vitamin D level was low, and he suggested a supplement. So I did do supplementation for a little while, but I also am making it a point to get out in the daytime sun. I mean, I'm getting out in the, around 10 o'clock, so for my walk, so that I can really be getting some good, strong sun that will help my body convert it into vitamin D and use it. That's the first way. If we can't get it that way, we'll just have to use a supplement. But the sunshine is important. It can kill viruses. It can take care of other things that we battle with. Don't be afraid of the sun. Be sure to not burn, of course, and everybody has their own level of where that's at, but get out there and enjoy the sun a little tiny bit. The next one would be to exercise. Keep the exercise going. Even though we are in shelter in place and maybe you're stuck in an apartment and can't get out much, but you can find some good stuff to do inside. Stretch, jog in place, do whatever you can to keep your body going. Let your body know that you can use it. So then it knows, okay, we're healthy. We don't have to feel afraid. The final one I have is connection, and this one is really important right now. If you can't connect in your usual way, maybe that was through work or being with social groups or going out with friends and relatives, make sure that you do some phone calling, some Zoom. Everybody in the world is on Zoom now. And get on Zoom or get on Skype and get some face-to-face time with people that you love if that is helpful for you. I've noticed in my neighborhood, people are just friendlier. They're waving for out there washing their car, and instead of just keeping to task, they're waving, and we have a conversation from half a block away just because we can now. We have time. We've slowed down a little bit. But maybe you can even make new connections. So keep those things in mind when you are writing out how you're feeling. Check in with, make sure you've got your bases covered with your mind, your body, and your spirit. And start with these very basics of meditation, your nourishment, your sleep, your sunshine, your exercise, and connection. See if you are filling yourself up with those things. You'll be glad that you did, and you will have more energy to be with others, to work on your hobbies and your crafts and your maybe house. Maybe you're redoing the inside of your home. Who knows what people are doing with this shelter in place, but take care of yourself first. I so love being here with you all, and I hope that you'll continue listening and that maybe this is a sense of connection for you too. It is for me. Pay a lot of attention to the fact that I am speaking to you guys and really trying to be there for you. And with all the email I get, I know that you guys are there for me too. And now for today's quote. The time to relax is when you don't have time for it. And that's from Sydney J. Harris. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.